Hi everybody, it's Gabriel Gilmore again. This is going to be part 2 of my first video, what is an assault rifle. There's a lot of things I didn't get to the first video, so I'm going to try to knock them out this time. The purpose of these videos is to inform you, okay? It's to just empower you. I believe that people fear what they don't understand, and that is why knowledge is power, okay? I'm just trying to empower you. These are my personal beliefs, and I want you to do your own research, okay? Be educated. Just don't take my word for it. Go out and do some research. Having said that, these are my personal beliefs and opinions. These are not the beliefs of my department, the state of South Carolina, or the federal government. These are my personal beliefs. And it truly amazes me how many people will come out of the woodwork to suppress this or muffle it. Some people don't want people in certain positions to voice their opinion, which is the whole purpose of the First Amendment, which is freedom of speech. The protection of speech is not for popular speech, it's for the unpopular speech. So be real careful when people try to muffle out other people's voices. Okay. Having said that, I'm really proud of certain groups. The Utah Sheriff's Association, USA, has really been a forerunner in the law enforcement community, saying that they will not stand for unconstitutional bills against the Second Amendment. They're not going to stand for it. It's fantastic. Our own Sheriff Al Cannon here in Charleston, South Carolina, has said that he will not enforce any unconstitutional law that affects the Second Amendment or any other for that reason. Okay, that's fantastic. One that y'all might have heard of a little bit more in the media is Senator Lindsey Graham. He's an outstanding man. He has come out and said, I have an AR-15. Would preventing me from having an AR stop anything? I mean, he pulls up a good point. Lindsey Graham's not going out there killing people. So, I mean, why should, a law-abiding citizen be prevented from having these weapons? Our own governor, Nikki Haley, has come out and said that she has a concealed weapon permit, and that she agrees with a law-abiding citizen to be able to carry. One of the people that's not as well known is Senator Lee Bright. Once again, an outstanding man, really stands for his beliefs and his ideals. And before this whole incident happened with Sandy Hook and the other mass shootings, he came out with the Firearms Freedom Act, which delves not only to the Second Amendment but also the 10th Amendment. They had an article here in the Post and Courier. This December the 28th, 2012. And I'll read the 10th Amendment for you. The power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively, or to the people. And basically what that's saying is that it prevents the federal government from overriding the state's powers. An example of this kind would be Colorado with marijuana. Okay, now federally marijuana is illegal, Colorado is not. So that kind of shows how the state can have its own set of laws separate from the federal government. But I'm really proud of these people that are in higher up positions, stating their beliefs and their ideals, and they're not letting people silence them. I believe that's very important. The government's for the people, by the people. We've elected these officials, let them speak. Let their voice be heard, because they are heard, because their voice represents me. I'm very proud of Senator Lee Bright, Lindsey Graham, Nikki Haley, and Sheriff Al Cannon. It might be the most popular speech that they're doing right now, but they're saying how I feel, and I believe that's very important. I said in the beginning that in the first video I didn't cover a lot of things I wanted to. One would be the intermediate cartridge. I really hit on that a lot. Being that the definition of a true assault rifle is a selective fire rifle shooting an intermediate cartridge that's usually the standard service weapon of any modern army. So I went and I showed you battle rifle of an M1 Grand, which is a 30-06, which is this caliber right here. And then I showed you a pistol cartridge, which is a 9mm, traditionally in a submachine gun rifle, and a pistol. This is a 45. This is a rather large cartridge for a pistol. But I never got to showing you the intermediate cartridge to make the point. This is a 223 or 5.56 by 45mm. And it's compared to the 30-06 here. And so this is when they saw the high-powered rifles. This is what they're talking about here. Okay, you can see there's a huge difference in what your grandpa or your father or your uncle or you killed a deer with and what this cartridge is. A lot of people actually use this cartridge to shoot coyotes or varmints. It's a rather small cartridge, so don't let people, you know, deceive you and say, oh, there's such a high-powered rifle and everything. You can go through tanks. You can see it. Obviously, these rounds are pretty small. Now, I also believe that there's a misconception that these firearms are already regulated. Here we have a Colt 6920 AR-15. This has a 16-inch barrel. This is the minimum length that you're allowed to have on a barrel unless it's an NFA, National Firearms Act, item. So that's the minimum. You have to have a 16-inch barrel, and with shotguns it would be 18. So there are regulations. Also, you can't have a selective fire AR-15, and if you do, it has to be an NFA firearm. Okay, it has to be a pre-1986, and it costs anywhere between $18,000 and $25,000 for this if this was full auto. But once again, this is a Colt. As I said before, this is brand spanking new. You can see they still put the blocks in there because even the manufacturers, they don't want these to be converted to fully automatics. Okay, and that's another requirement, that these weapons cannot be easily converted into fully automatic. But you don't really hear that on the media. I wonder why. They kind of want to, you know, be a little deceptive with things and kind of sway things towards their opinion. That's why I'm glad we have our senators and representatives who really support our opinions. Or you have groups like the Utah, I can't remember this, the Utah Sheriff's Association, USA. Also in the first video I talked about how other weapons would be banned as well. I went into shotguns and barrel shrouds and pistol grips, collapsible folding stocks, magazine capacity over 5 rounds, detachable box magazines for shotguns, but also pistols will be regulated as well. If we look at for the pistols, this was during the first ban, 94 to 2004. Okay, if it had 2 of these features, it was considered a no-no and you weren't allowed to have it. One, having a magazine attached outside of the pistol grip. Now this is a H&K USP 45 tactical. We're going to use this for purposes. But when they talk about having a magazine outside of the pistol grip, if the magazine was up here, okay, now what they're trying to really show is, say, like a Tech 9 or something that has that magazine that sticks out. But really for concealment and practical, you know, it's better to have a pistol grip. Now I'll say this, when I was at the Citadel and on the pistol team, we competed in the Junior Olympics, all of the pistols that we used in competition had the magazines forward. You know, that was to help with weight, and also because the grips were so custom to the shooter, okay? So it's not uncommon to have true sporting pistols, you know, to have the magazine forward. Another thing is a threaded barrel to attach a barrel extension. I don't understand what would be so wrong about making a barrel longer on a pistol. A flash hider suppressor, a hand grip or suppressor. Now this, once again, I said it is USB tactical. This does have a threaded barrel. And you can put a compensator or a muzzle brake or flash suppressor on here. Also a suppressor. But once again, that's an NFA firearm. That'd be an NFA item, excuse me. You'd have to pay your $200 tax. And also you have to pay for the suppressor, which is about $800. So for $1,000, I could put a suppressor on this weapon. It's not, you know, the bad guy who robs a 7-Eleven is not going to be spending $1,000 on a suppressor. But once again, you know, you watch movies and you think how quiet suppressors are, and you know, most of them have, you know, 35 decibel reduction at the most shooting wet. So these aren't, you know, exactly all that quiet, but it reduces the signature. Getting off subject there, but that would be a no-no feature. Okay. As for the hand grip, for the threaded barrels out of hand grip, a downward angle, that is another restriction. If you had anything on that, if you had a hand grip, a downward hand grip on a pistol, that would be an NFA firearm. You'd have to pay $200 tax on that. So that's already regulated. There's also, you're not allowed to have a weight of more than 50 ounces for a pistol. That was also there. So they won't have, you know, AR-15 with maybe a 10.5-inch barrel and no stock being labeled as a pistol. Or, and this is a kicker, a semi-automatic version of a fully automatic. Okay, so Glocks, you know, the Glock 18 is a fully automatic. Would all Glock 17s be illegal? That's kind of open up. And barrel shrouds, which we already talked about the first one on how, you know, ridiculous having a barrel shroud would be illegal. But we also want to look at how people are being portrayed. I believe that, you know, people are demonizing the gun owner, okay? We're described as nuts, doomsday preppers, fanatics, which there are some, there's no doubt. In every group you're going to have some people who, you know, go to extreme, but most people are pretty moderate, okay? And they shouldn't be demonized and put in these classifications. I believe that a majority of gun owners in America are very level-headed, are law-abiding citizens, and do the right thing. An example would be, Hitcock 45 on YouTube. He's a good old boy from Tennessee. He's a school teacher, and he likes to go in his backyard and shoot. And he shoots all types of exotic weapons and does gun reviews. Is there anything wrong with him doing that? I personally enjoy watching his videos. There's a lot of other people like Nothing Fancy. A lot of other people do great reviews, and they're not crazy people. They just enjoy shooting their firearms. But the people you see that on the media or on the TV, you know, really I don't believe portray the gun owners as a whole very well. I believe that Wayne LaPierre with the National Rifle Association did a great job in showing how the average gun owner has been demonized by the media and many other sources. He shows how everything goes to the extreme. Well, they'll say that he's a gun nut and that more guns is less crime, and that he wants to put a gun in everybody's hand. You know, that's not what he's saying. He just believes that people have the right to keep and bear arms. If people don't want a gun, they don't have to have a gun. You know, he also points out, you know, more gun laws to stop criminals. Well, by definition, criminals don't obey laws. He also, you know, made a really good point that can't you just entertain the idea that if there was a law enforcement officer in Sandy Hook, that there was a potential for less death. That maybe that officer could have stopped Adam Lanza from killing those children. So then, you know, but somehow that gets contorted when he, you know, requests that there be, you know, an officer in every school that gets contorted to more guns, you know, we'll stop it. You know, this is not a one fix all solution, okay? It's multifaceted. And once again, be real quick to, you know, question, you know, facts and statistics. You know, do your own research. You know, once again, don't take my word for it. Don't take, you know, other sources, you know, media sources or TV sources or YouTube. You know, do some research. Be diligent with this, because, you know, how you vote and how these things come to pass might affect the future of your children. And now I'm going to address some of the comments on the first video. I talked a little bit about mental illness, and I did say a lot about schizophrenics. I was not picking on that group as individuals as what I kind of associate mental illness with. You know, I personally do not believe they should be able to own firearms, but I think that's something that really needs to be discussed now, which you're really not seeing on the media. You know, let's put these things to a vote. If you don't believe somebody should have over a 10-round magazine, vote on it. A pistol grip, collapsible stock, bayonet lug, flash hider, whatever. Put it to a vote and see what happens, okay? Then we'll start discussing, you know, mental illness, because that's something that's a little bit more complicated, you know. It's, you know, if somebody's labeled to have a certain disease or a mental illness, okay, when you know, say, hey, here's the point. Or is it when somebody's on certain medications like antidepressants, and at what level, you know? Do I believe a woman who just had a baby should be able to own a firearm? Yes. So, I mean, there's got to be levels of, you know, how much medication you're taking and what illness, which really is not being discussed. Like I said, let's go and get this knocked out. If you don't believe we should have 10-round magazines, go ahead and vote on it and see if the people who've been elected for the people, by the people in our government, see what they believe. Okay, let's go and knock this out. I also want to tell you a lot of the ending. I just want to thank you for watching the videos. I hope you found it very informative. I know a lot of you guys have been looking at this gun in the case. That's a H&K P7 PSP. Some of y'all guessed that correctly. I know a lot of y'all like to look at my grandpa's medals. I'd like y'all to see if y'all can identify which one that one is. It's kind of particular. And I do look forward to maybe continuing this on. It kind of exploded on YouTube and Facebook. I might start doing some gun reviews. Just got this weapon. And this is a H&K MR 556A1. And I'd love to do continue YouTube and maybe do some gun reviews in the future. But once again, I thank you guys, and remember that you always fear what you don't understand, and that's why knowledge is power.